60 minutes. That's all it took for calm to turn into chaos. A silent sea, a ticking clock, and one mistake that no one could take back. In August of the year 2000, far out in the Barents Sea, the Russian submarine Kursk began what was supposed to be a routine training exercise. 118 men went underwater that morning. None of them would come back. This story is not about politics or blame. It's about time and how, in one single hour, the line between safety and disaster can vanish. At 11:28 a.m., Kursk prepared to fire a practice torpedo. Inside the control room, everything looked normal, but one pressure reading was slightly off. The crew noted it, assuming it was a small sensor error. Then, at 11:29, a dull vibration ran through the steel hull. No one understood what it meant. A test torpedo's fuel, made of hydrogen peroxide, had started to leak. When it mixed with kerosene, it ignited. The first explosion hit like a silent hammer. Metal bent, lights flickered, the front compartments filled with smoke. Seconds later, a second explosion followed, 10 times stronger. The shock wave ripped through bulkheads and slammed the submarine down onto the sea floor, 100 meters deep. From that moment, the Kursk was lost. On nearby ships, crews felt the tremor. Some thought it was an earthquake under the sea. They did not yet know a submarine had vanished beneath them. Inside the Kursk, in the rear compartments, a few survivors were still alive. 18 men gathered in the last dry section. They sealed the watertight doors following their training. One officer, Captain Lieutenant Dmitry Kolesnikov, began writing notes in the dark. He listed names. He wrote the time. And he added one line that still echoes today. All from section 6, 7, and 8 moved to the 9th. None of us can surface. They waited. They tapped on the walls, sending signals upward through hundreds of tons of steel and water. Each tap a cry for help that no one could hear. The first seismic readings came from Norway's monitoring stations. They detected 2 explosions within 2 minutes. Satellite photos later showed an oil slick spreading over the sea. But in the first hours, the Russian Navy reported only a communication failure. Rescue teams were told to wait. By the next morning, the world knew something had gone terribly wrong. Foreign navies offered help, but days passed before permission was granted. When divers finally reached the wreck, they found it cold and silent. In one cabin, they discovered the captain's notes. They proved that the men in the rear survived for several hours after the explosions. They had written messages to their families, calm, brave, and heartbreaking. One mother later said, "I never blame the sea. I only blame the silence." The Kursk tragedy became a lesson in both courage and communication. It showed that technology can fail, but hesitation can kill hope. Naval engineers compared the submarine to a pressure cooker. It was strong, but one small leak started a chain reaction. Experts later confirmed that the first blast came from a faulty torpedo design. Others still argue that the cause was a collision or a manufacturing flaw. No theory explains every signal recorded that day. Even now, parts of the official data remain sealed. In those final 60 minutes, the men of the Kursk followed every rule they knew. They trusted their training. They trusted that help would come. But communication delays and outdated rescue systems made survival impossible. Their loss forced change. New submarines use safer fuels. New protocols allow faster international rescue cooperation. And every navy in the world remembers that silence is the most dangerous sound at sea. In the end, the Kursk was raised from the seabed a year later. The letters inside were returned to families. Some spoke of teamwork. Some spoke of fear. Most spoke of love. Every great machine is built by human hands, and every tragedy is remembered by human hearts. The story of the Kursk is not just about how a submarine sank. It's about how, in one final hour, the human spirit refused to. If you want to understand how people make impossible decisions under pressure, watch our next story, Inside the Last Flight, the final 13 minutes of Air France 447. This documentary is based on publicly available records, declassified naval documents, seismic data, and media archives. All living individuals are referenced with respect. No claim of fault is made beyond confirmed evidence. This story is told for education and remembrance.